MCL Digital.
Mpendwa mtazamaji wa MCL Digital, leo katika upande wa michezo tupo na mkurugenzi mtendaji mkuu wa klabu ya Simba Mr. Senzo Mazingisa, ambaye amekuja kutembelea katika ofisi zetu hapa za Mwananchi Communications Limited. Mr. Senzo, welcome. Feel at home.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Asante.
Okay. First of all, what is your key priorities for Simba after being appointed as CEO?
You see, they can't be key. All of them are key. But I think one most important thing is to corporatize the club,
Okay.
to ensure that the club is operating at the level of international standards, to ensure the club itself, in terms of secretariat, management, governance, and all those basic management requirements are met, to ensure the club has got a very clear mandate strategy how to achieve whatever we want to achieve, to ensure that the club more than anything wins. We are able to compete in all the competitions that are available, to ensure the club becomes number one in Tanzania first, number one in East Africa second, and also to compete in the African continent. So it's not an easy task, but it's doable. It starts by us internally to ensure that we've got our systems in place. Of course, then later on we can start doing things about the quality of players we bring in, quality of technical bench, issues around revenue, how do you explore that particular side of the business. So really we need to run Simba Sports Club as a business. I think those are most critical areas that we need to focus on.
Okay. After reaching the quarterfinal stage of CAF Champions League last season, the main target for Simba was to reach it again or to step further from that stage. But unfortunately, the team exited early in the preliminary round. How does it affect the business-wise?
No, we are affected. We cannot run away from the fact that the expectations and projections which we made last year, predicting this new current year, I mean, I did my numbers. We lost about 1.3 billion.
1.3?
Yes, in terms of the revenue that one was going to achieve by playing at least in the group stages of CAF. So you can imagine how much big of a hole that is making on your budget. So financially it has affected us big time. So it means now we must work harder to close that gap. Also the mood of our supporters, the mood in the country as a whole, now that we don't have international matches, considering that even our neighbors were knocked out most recently. So it doesn't really do us good as a country. And as for Simba, it's big disappointments. But what can we do? It's football. We live for another day. We prepare for the next one and ensure that we achieve.
So are there any plans to fix such amount of money lost?
Look, we have to make means with what we have. We have to find ways to close that gap. You know, having said that, we've lost that potential income. It also means that even our costs, you know, are not as big as what we anticipated, considering that we will have to travel to these countries, we'll have to fly, sleep over and everything. So our costs will be minimized somehow, but we have certain small projects that are immediate that we can work on to ensure that we cover the deficit, you know.
Okay. And the transfer window is around the corner, I think in December, and one of your plans was to strengthen the squad, especially the technical bench, and also to add some few faces in the squad. How long these plans are?
You know, my bosses will be listening to this, but my attitude is very clear. We currently have a squad of about 28 players. So if there's any thought of bringing any player, we need to release few players as well. We can't overburden the budget that we have currently. We need to take stock inside the club and say, right, out of the players we have, how many players can really take us forward? How many players have played their part in the past 6 months that we started the league? You know, from there we can make a determination in terms of how and when and who are we bringing in. you know. So I don't believe in bringing in players. When you bring in players, we're bringing a lot of cost into the club. We need to start by saying, who do we release? You know, is it the right thing to do? How many do we release? And then after that, we can check, okay, now I've got a little bit of money to be able to go and get 1 or 2 players into the club. Of course, there's been an outcry from the technical bench that we need to reinforce our striking force. Yes, we are looking at that to see how best we can support in that regard. If I may take it further and explain that, we've had an unfortunate situation with John Boko, the captain of the club. He's been out of action for some time. His injury seems not to be healing, you know. So as I'm speaking to you now, I'm making arrangements to take him to South Africa for another assessment, and hopefully we can be assisted. So we're unfortunate in that part. We only have Medi Kagere, but we've got another number of players that can assist in that regard. We've got a Brazilian Wilker that I think that can add value, you know. So we have to do what we have and see how far we go.
Of course, there are some players who will go out for loan. For many years, the Tanzanian club have not yet benefited from loan players. So, is there any policy to loan out players and to?
You see, it's interesting that you are bringing the issue of the loan. I've learned, you know, through, because there's an inquiry from one of our players who've loaned out, and then this player is not paid by the club that is loaned to. We are still paying the player. So these are the small of the things that I disagree with. You know, if I loan you my player, the least you can do is to pay him a salary. You know, I mean, that salary, the player should also agree that, look, I've not really come to my potential. I still need to get match time elsewhere. Whatever negotiations they do with the club must pay for the player. I can't pay for a player who's playing for club X and is not in my books. You know, these are small things that we need to agree. So we're not going to be agreeing to loan players and then we still carry the burden of paying them. It's unfair on the club, you know. So I think that going forward, but it's negotiations. We need to talk as club officials and agree on these things and ensure that it's fair. You know, if you are playing for me, I pay you. If you're playing for someone else, that someone else must pay for your wages, because this is all money. It's like paying for someone to come in and score against you. You're paying a player who's on loan to team X, and then you play against that team. This player scores 2 goals, but you're paying the salary. You know, it doesn't make sense. So there are small things that we need to look at going forward.
Okay. After LXGT in CAF Champions League, especially the focus now is to win the Premier League title and even Aussems Sports Federation. With the current situation in Premier League, that kind of competition, and for your observation, do you think Simba will attain it for 3 times in a row?
Look, we want to achieve that, but we're not naive to the fact that other clubs have also raised their bar. The competition is a bit tighter. It's not as easy like it. It's like easy, you know. People are competing. I mean, we played against the police last week. They give us tough time. Prisons, yes. So what it means is that we also need to up our game. We need to prepare like we are playing cup final, because every team that plays against Simba will give its best, because Simba is a you know, a renowned club. You know, it's you know, everybody's looking at you. You know, you have to up your game when you play these matches. So we not saying it's going to be easy, but if we carry on doing right things in the club, giving support to technical bench doing their part, and the players most of all do their part, we should be able to retain the championship.
Are you satisfied with the performance of the team?
You know, when you say satisfied, you can look at it 2 ways.
Yeah.
One way is that, are we getting points on the board? Yes, we're getting points. How we're getting points, it's something else, another discussion to say maybe we should win in 5, we should win 6, we should not compete and win only 1 against certain teams. But as I said, competition is tight. Some teams have upped their game, but I think we can do better in terms of how we win and how we compete. You know, but what is important at the end of the day is the number of points that you put on the board.
And there was a recruitment process for some staff and secretariat, but fortunately, in the recent situation, time quiet. How about it?
It's unfair. It means that you yourself and your team have not done proper research. You see, because recently we've announced certain appointments in the club. I'm the first one who was appointed. I came in because there was a recruitment process and a recruitment committee. So we've got a report from them, and there were a number of people who were shortlisted. So out of the shortlisted, we managed to sign Hashim Baga as a fans and members director. We've managed to sign Ms. Belinda Paul, who is responsible for all our projects and stakeholder management with our sponsors. We will still make other appointments as we go along. You know, it's good to take time when you appoint individuals, because you don't rush into appointing only to finalize or realize at the later stage that you made a mistake, or we could wait with this position. We can look at that one, because appointments means money. It means it eats in your budget. So you must find a way of managing your budget and ensuring that the staff you have can cope. Only then, when you start seeing other shortages, you can go out and recruit more. So that process is ongoing, and I'm quite happy and satisfied with the progress so far.
And what are the plans about the youth team and women teams? Will they run from the budget? They have a special budget?
Simba has got one consolidated budget.
Okay.
It's divided into Queens, under 17, under 20s, and the senior team. But we don't treat Queens and under 20s separately. They are part of the club. We've recently signed long-term lease for the place, for their camping place.
Okay.
We've renovated the Queens place of residence with new beds, new couches, TV, DSTV, Azam TV. So we don't regard them as those other people. They are part of the club, very, very integral part of Simba Sports Club. The under 20s, as you've seen recently, we've managed to take about 6 of the boys to join us at our training session, to join us at some of the friendly matches that we've played. So Simba Sports Club consists of a number of teams inside it. So it is very, very important to ensure that we take care of these teams. And another thing that is in the pipeline, the investment we made to the under 20s and under 17, it's quite massive. So it means that even the people that are managing that team, we need to ensure that we get experts, so that there is integration from the under 20s to the senior team. You know, the history that I've seen in the club is that most of our stars today, Young Kudes, Demlas, they come from the under 20s. You know, it means we need to continue to monitor the under 20s. There must be close relations between the under 20s and our senior team to ensure that, number one, we cut on the cost of players that we spend, and we are able to nurture our own, and ensure that by the time, in 2-3 years' time, we have a very solid team that is affordable. You know, because 67% of our revenue now goes to the players' salaries.
Okay. And what are the major requirements that will be proposed to the board for the daily operation of Secretariat?
Maybe repeat that question, I don't understand.
The major requirements, what you proposed to the board for the daily performance of operation?
Look, there's a number of proposals that we've put forward, but I think the board as well is expecting me to carry on and do what I know best, and why I have been hired as the CEO of the club, to ensure that basic things are done. You can't always run to the board.
Okay.
The board might as well run their club on their own. So as a CEO of the club, there are measures that are in place already to ensure that Secretariat is supported. You know, I don't believe in Secretariat word, but it's a common word which is used. I don't have a Secretariat about management. My team is they are managing the club. We are responsible for the management of the club. You know, so for instance, we are in the process of opening our new corporate office, where we're running the affairs of the club. Very soon we will be letting the media know. We'll invite you to our offices so that we are able to show that we are moving forward as a club. Our old Msimbazi office will also be renovated, and the idea really around that is to ensure that our members have a place to go home, to call home. Most of our members come out of Dar es Salaam. They come and visit Dar es Salaam. They want to go to our offices. So when they get there, I want them to see and feel at home. You know, the environment that we want to create there, it's an environment that they will be proud of. So there's a number of things that are in the pipeline. You know, but of course the major ones we need to discuss with the board, and then the board can give a go-ahead, because you know no man operates alone. I'm responsible to the board. The board is responsible to the members. So all of us, someone is keeping check on us. So I think we're on the right track. There will be challenges, and these things don't happen overnight. They take time. So we just plead for support, plead for patience, while we carry on with our responsibilities.
There is ongoing pressure to technical bench, especially head coach Patrick Aussems, and fans, they are not happy with him. How do you respond to it?
I mean, fans of Arsenal are not happy with their coach either. So, you know, it's part of our game. It's part of football that we are in. You know, we should not be hasty how we deal with such things, you know, because we are the ones who are inside. We are the ones that we must show direction. So I think it's granted. Simba's fans demand a certain type of football, demand a certain type of commitment from players, from technical bench. So we are listening, we are watching. So it doesn't mean that there's nothing that is happening inside. We are also aware, but I think the situation will turn. We will move forward, you know. So the fans and members should not think that we're turning a blind eye, but we must be responsible in how we deal with these matters. We must not just do things without thinking, you know. We must provide necessary support to the coach and the technical bench, and ensure that everything is done from our side to support this club.
Okay. So the coach is safe?
Well, the coach, Coach Patrick Aussems, is the head coach of Simba Sports Club.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Senzo, and welcome back again.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Subscribe MCL Digital.